What if the secret to success wasn't just talent or hard work, but unshakable confidence? Welcome to Grasp Confidence, the podcast where visionary thought leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs unlock the mindset and strategies for lasting success. I'm your host, Tara LaFon Gooch, CEO, two-time best-selling author, and international TEDx speaker, and I can't wait to help you step into the most powerful version of yourself. Let's dive in. What happens when a former NFL athlete loses it all? The money, the status, the identity, and has to rebuild from the ground up. In today's episode of Grasp Confidence Podcast, we're joined by Marques Ogden, a 5-time best-selling author, sought-after keynote speaker, and host of a top 0.5% global podcast. Woo-woo! Once a pro football player, Marques faced a crushing fall, but he found on the other side was more powerful than any game-winning play. So if you've ever hit rock bottom or felt like you've lost direction, this conversation will reignite your purpose. Hit play now and discover what it really means to grasp confidence, especially when the storm hits the hardest. Don't forget to subscribe and share this powerful episode with someone who needs to hear it. Marques, welcome to the show, my friend.
How are you, Tara? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, what a powerful story you've had. You know, we watch football on TV. We see players on TV. They become our heroes, our icons. They catch the game-winning touchdown. They, are in the highlight reel, right? But what happens when the game ends? And when we have to face a reality sometimes, and a lot of times, in your case, it was adversity as well. I would love to hear about this journey that you went on.
So, Tara, when I retired from the National Football League after almost a 6-year career, it was immensely difficult for me to figure out what to do next. I had lots of struggle, lots of adversity, lots of hardship. We lost our father the year before I retired, which was not easy and unexpected. He was only 57. Wow. So I was constantly in a state of confusion and lack of direction, no purpose, no passion. I tell my clients today, when your passion and your purpose align, that's when the magic happens. But it takes time for us to find that, especially if you're like me or other athletes, where you've been playing a sport for so long that the sport is poof, gone, done. You're like, what's next? What do I do next? So I struggled for about 6 months with alcohol addiction, painkiller addiction, any type of opioid or a Vicodin, hydrocodone, Lexapro, you name it, I was on it. And I was really masking the pain. I was masking feeling like a failure. I was masking feeling like an individual who literally went from being on stage, bright lights, lots of people, full stadium, to like now here I am in my home. I have no team I belong to. I have no sense of really anything to get up for, to really be excited about. And I was just struggling. But finally, I got into construction in 2008, and I built something special with my business partner. And we went from starting out very small concrete demolition, contractor, framing contractor, to the largest earthwork contractor in the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland for 2 years. And we were just literally doing anything and everything. We were just all over the place. We were smashing it. We were doing fantastic. But unfortunately, right, Tara, as the company was smashing it, inside I was dying. Inside I was like just hating every freaking day to get up. I didn't like construction. I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like the stress and the long days and the lack of education I had in construction. I relied on my business partner a lot for our knowing what to do, bidding, estimating, all that. I was just kind of more of the face, and I was very good at marketing, bringing the work in, but I didn't have a great COO partnership. So inside, I was dying. And as I died a little more each day, the company culture died with me a lot more each day. And by the time I turned around, going into like that last part, I'll say like the last 3 months of our company, the culture got so bad, it got so toxic, it got so heavy that I ended up losing my best employees, losing a lot of our clients, and I ended up having to shut our company down in January 2013 when the bank called me on December 23rd, 2012, and told me, Marcus, we're going to shut Caden down. Your lines of credit, your equipment lines, your credit cards, everything you could think of, gone. And we'll be coming after everything we can come after in January of 2013. Happy holidays. And that was the beginning of my immense struggle trying to get my life back after NFL, right, goes down, right? My dad, I go further down. I have addiction issues, I go further down. And then I build myself back up here, and I go from like here to up here. But the problem is inside, I'm like really down here. So eventually it all caught up. And then how? January 2013, I'm starting to pack up and having to leave Baltimore and head for Raleigh.
Wow, amazing. So you were at the height of fame with the NFL. You were at the height of fame and success in business, but there was a missing ingredient, right? And I know you talk about ego. I know you talk about facing the storm and weathering the storm. You know, a lot of people that were in your position at that time would have given up. There's a lot of people that we hear on the news, they would have, killed themselves. A lot of people have committed suicide over these exact scenarios. But you found a way to weather that storm. And, just by knowing you and talking to you, what I really like as well is you use an analogy of a buffalo. The buffalo doesn't run away from the storm, right? So that's an interesting thing. When we see a buffalo and the storm's approaching, they actually run toward it. They face it head on. And that's a different type of mindset that maybe it's a pro athlete mindset. Maybe it's that 1% mindset. I'm not sure. I would love to hear your opinion on that. But like, how can us average people tap into that?
So it's a bison. People think, I don't know. I'm totally honest. I don't know the difference between a buffalo and a bison. I don't know what the actual difference is, but I know because I'm a Howard University bison graduate, the bison is the only animal that charges directly into the eye of the storm. And the bison does that, right, Tara, for one main reason. They know of all the evolution of time because they're one of the few animals that's been around for hundreds of millions of years. They were around back with like saber-toothed tigers and all this dinosaurs. Like bison were there. They were alive. But they realized that charging into the eye of the storm is great for them because the only way out of a storm in their mind is through a storm. And they're 100% correct, I feel. Because if you try to run from a storm, you're going to run for a while. And eventually you can duck, hide, dodge. But eventually that storm will find you. So I have an acronym for bison. The B is boldness, right? Fortune favors the bold. If you're listening to this awesome podcast, be innovative, right? Foster or cultivate inventiveness. Don't just sit around and do the status quo. Like, for example, right here, so many people said, Marcus, why don't you just go be a football coach? You're in Ogden. You play in the NFL. You know O-line play. Go coach O-line in high school. Maybe go up to a small college or go coach at Campbell out in Littleton, North Carolina. Great school and get a good base salary, free Waffle House for life, all this stuff. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to just follow the status quo because the life I'm living now, do I work a lot? Yep. Am I tired a lot? You betcha. Is it a constant thing of talking to people and leading people and serving people? Yep. But I'll tell you what, it's so much more fulfilling now than it is with me just being a coach. And I would love, and I coach kids on the side on weekends to fulfill that part of my soul. But giving to kids and doing just that for me would have been enough. So fortune favors the bold.
Yeah.
The I is integrity. Be an individual that when things around you get difficult or tumultuous, you stay with integrity. For example, I end up leaving one hosting platform for our podcast to go to another hosting platform because one hosting platform thought I was doing something where the integrity was being questioned. I say, you know what? I'm not going to sit around and deal with this. I'm going to start looking for other options. We found one. It's amazing. The platform is Bleed that we're on now, BLEAB, and it's great. It's started by people that have been around sports and football. We've got NFL podcasts. We've got baseball. We've got true crime. We've got sports. We've got business, so on and so forth. So what I did was I removed myself from that one area and I went somewhere where there's another area of positive. I didn't start like going low and start telling this company what happened. That's not having integrity. So integrity is doing what you need to do when nobody's watching and in the dark. I always tell people what happens in the dark will come to the light. So it's very important that you understand that, and people know that more than ever now. Some things happen in our country, and we know what I'm talking about. Tara, things that happen in the dark come to the light. So have integrity. It's everything. The S is self-awareness. So many people know their strengths. So few people want to really be honest about their blind spots. Tara, you work with us. We hire you to help us to market our podcast, to help us with marketing for our business. And we talked about this earlier. Before you, we were very disjointed, very fragmented operation. And now what we're doing, three big things. Number one, we're creating and cultivating an offer that attracts the right type of client. Number two, we are always putting ourselves in a position of trying to find a good, steady pipeline of clients that can afford our services. And number three, we are now creating a system to bring people into our ecosystem, nurture them using the podcast, cold outreach becomes warm, build a relationship, nurture, and then hopefully have them become our clients for a higher ticket offer. So again, the self-awareness factor, I stink at that part of the business, the marketing, the creating this, the website, George has created a website. I stink at how to write blogs or newsletters or PowerPoints, but Dawn's pretty good and pretty great. I stink at how to publish podcasts and edit and put and all that. Ben's pretty darn good. And now we just started publishing our podcast at 6 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday to hit it right in your inbox when you wake up on your way to work. That's self-awareness. The O is ownership. If you don't own your stuff, you're never going to be where you want to be in life. Perfect example, my girlfriend, April Henderson. I love that woman. She's amazing. And what I'm realizing is now in this relationship, I'm owning some things that I struggled with in the past. And with her help and her patience, and with her understanding me, and with me understanding her and working in that reciprocating fashion, I'm actually building a very healthy, very fruitful relationship. But it starts with ownership, right? So many people want to say, well, that person did me wrong. And okay, fine. But what did you do? Where are your issues? Where are your shortcomings? Where did you fall short? Well, I don't like to talk. Well, you know what? Well, then, honestly, if that's how you feel, you're going to always be alone, right? Always. And it's so sad. I feel some people are getting divorced because people don't want to own their stuff. And the N is never quit. Tara, we've been podcasting for 3 years, and we're now starting to get some traction. Like I said, we moved from one platform to another. The downloads are doing well. They're starting to catch up. Again, it takes a little bit of time to kind of migrate and catch up and all that stuff. But now heading into August, we've been there for, a good solid week, 1 to 2 weeks. And by the time we start in August, we're just going to hit it hard. But again, right, we never quit. We never thought about stopping the podcast. We never thought about quitting the brand. We never thought about just throwing the towel and say, the heck with this, right? Never did that, right? Like I tell people, God has a plan for us. But here's the catch. God gives us free will to choose to stay on that plan. But we have to be the ones that make that decision, because God will not make that for us. He'll give us everything we need, encouragement, opportunity. You can see it. He'll help you see the vision, but he can't want it more for you, because again, God is an almighty God, but he gives us something that we have to make the choice. Free will.
Wow. Powerful, bold, integrity, self-awareness, ownership, and never quit. When I think about this, I mean, that's the true formula of success, right? And so many entrepreneurs, because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, they may not be bold enough because they may lack self-confidence to really do the big things that they want to do in life. They may have integrity, but, without the boldness, the integrity falls short, right? Without the self-awareness, we get caught chasing everything instead of going after the aligned opportunities, the aligned partnerships. We try to do it all. And I like what you said. You have a whole team around you, right? And knowing what you're good at, what your strengths are versus what you're not great at, and hiring to fill the not great parts. It's not about knowing it all. It's about filling the gaps. I love that. And then ownership. This is something I talk a lot about as well, because GRASP, the R stands for responsibility. It's an ownership mentality. Without that ownership, without that responsibility, nothing will land, because you're always going to be a victim and not a victor in your own life and your own story. And ultimately, you're not the author of your story. And then N is never give up, never quit. So many podcasts, they lack consistency. I think the statistic is that 90% of podcasts don't make it past episode 3. Are you kidding me? Right? So if we don't have all of these ingredients, what's going to happen is we could be the smartest person. We could have a lot of degrees. We could have even a lot of influence. But if we don't have these things in our life that we really live by, nothing will work long term. And it's especially important for entrepreneurs. But I love as well what you said is that God has a plan for us, but we have free will, and he can't want it more than we want it for ourselves. And I say that in coaching as well, Marcus, right? I can lead a horse to water, but I cannot make someone drink. You can give them all the tools, all the formulas, all the structure, but ultimately it's up to that person to want it bad enough that they take ownership and go for it. What do you think about that?
I think you're 100% accurate. I mean, take our business, right? Ogden Ventures. We have been struggling when we first started. We started out, we're 12 years old. I say the first 5 to 6 years was a struggle, right? I mean, I would say year 7 to 9, we got a little bit more stability. And 9 going forward, we've been doing better. But we have not elevated to the next level in 3 years because we didn't have a Tara LaFon Gooch to help us say, okay, here is what you have, right? You have a brand, right? You've got a podcast, you've got a team, you've got this and this, but you have no system. Okay, that makes perfect sense. What do you think? Well, we're going to help you attract more clients by getting more popularity, more downloads, more awareness around your podcast. We started that in June. Great June, awesome so far in July. We're going to continue that in August, right? Number two is finding a good pipeline of clientele that can afford your service and respects your work. We didn't have that at all. Well, now you do with this platform and this platform, and now bring it to our team, right? And we have all this that we need, and we're putting it together, which leads to number three, the system, right? And so now we're saying, okay, we're going to cultivate this way, do cold email outreach, warm, we're going to use the podcast, dot, 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 dot. So again, right, Tara? Absolutely. If you wanted it more for me than I did for myself, you couldn't help me. So again, right, Tara, I told you about the situation that happened. What did I do? Instead of sitting there complaining about it or griping about it, I found it was, again, God puts things in our life if we pay attention. This thing happened with that other platform. And then this new platform got introduced to me through our speaker agent. I met with them. I liked them. My guy, Ben, my producer, heard of them, knew them, loved their work, respected them. They got major people behind them, like sponsoring and putting money in, like FanDuel, DraftKings, Shopify, all kinds of other brands, right? Big brands. So now we're part of a family. And now what we're doing, we're moving everything over. And now it was another month or two. We're going to have kick booty numbers on their platform, which does what? More attention. It goes back to what? Item number one, which Tara has helped us to identify. Get a better offer that attracts. You hear that word? Attracts, not chase. When you chase someone, you end up always being on the, what I call the lesser leg. I was telling one of my clients, right, about, her podcast. She said that when people reach out to her, she automatically doesn't respond to them. I said, hold up now. We can't do that. When people reach out to you to be on your podcast, that's a position of strength. You say, hey, look, let's have a call. Let's have a pre-con meeting. If I had you on the podcast, you need to share it. You need to repurpose it. You need to put out to your network. You need to post it. If you're asking someone to join your podcast, it's kind of a far stretch for you to ask them, can you come on our show? And can you post it? And can you repurpose it? It's not the same thing. Now, if you ask me that because I'm in this business and I need content, I'll do it. But most people aren't like me or aren't like Tara. They work a corporate job. So they're not going to have time to do all that stuff. So again, it's all about attracting the right client. So to answer your question, Tara, absolutely. Whomever you work with, if they want it more for you than you want for yourself, at some point that relationship, that partnership will end.
That's so true. Oh my gosh, so much wisdom there. And this is, an opportunity to look inward for anybody who's listening. I often refer to entrepreneurship as the ultimate mirror. It's the ultimate personal development tool. It reflects back who you really are, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in between, right? So it's so powerful, and we all have so much to learn from you, Marcus. But I think my big takeaway from all of this is, regardless of what you've been through in life, regardless of what you faced, regardless of the adversity, the challenges, the trials, the tribulations, anybody can become massively successful if they follow this bison model. And I really love it. It's so simple and so easy to remember. And it's so easy for us to flee, to get out of there, to turn the corner and just forget about it and move on. But it takes a real ownership mentality to face something head on and, to keep going, even in the face of adversity, even in the face of failure, even in the face of challenges or ridicule. It's a different mindset. And not everybody has that, Marcus. Not everybody has that. So, I'm so, blessed to know you, because you're really rubbing off on me.
Well, and it's funny, you're rubbing off on me, where I was literally yesterday cooking dinner, so for myself. And it's funny that I love my girlfriend, but she lives outside of Nashville. So until we end up want to get married and all that type of stuff. We see each other all the time. Like she comes here for a week, I'm gonna go there. She comes to jobs that I'm doing. So like for my birthday, November, she's coming to see me for a whole week. So it's amazing. But I was cooking for myself last night, and I said, man, I've been doing this for 12 years, and Tara has joined us now for a couple of months, and her system of 1, 2, 3, attract, right, identify, and then nurture. That's really what it is. Now, the hard part, ladies and gentlemen, is the time it takes to have a brand that attracts people.
Yes.
That's where most people do not make it because they don't want to put the work in to have that. And Terry, you said like, Marcus, working with you is going to be a great thing because you already have the brand. So like, again, it's like we have what Tara's talking about, but what we didn't have is we didn't clearly identify the blueprint to make it work. So again, it's all about having people around you that are going to what? Elevate you. Like I said, our podcast has elevated since being with Tara. Our team has gotten fired up about what we're looking to do and how to have a system and make it more simple and how to execute, right? But again, you have to be willing to have these type of things, type of conversations with yourself. Like I said, what if I said to myself, oh, we're doing, 4,000 or 5,000 a year for the last couple of years, and I'm just going to stay right here and that's okay. And we're perfect. Well, then Tara, doesn't matter how great she is, she can't help me because like you heard her say earlier, you have to have that conversation in the mirror with the person that you're with 24/7. And that's yourself. So if you cannot see you can get better, you can improve, and it doesn't matter what you do. Because at some point, people are going to say, you know what, the hell with this person or whomever they are, I can't work with them. So again, Tara, it's like, I'm like, man, I've been doing this now for 12 years. And here I am like in 6 weeks with Tara after her coming in and helping us get things motion and blueprint. Like, gee, this really isn't that hard. But the hard part is actually allowing your brand to get to the point where it's like a Jeff Bezos with Amazon or a Apple Steve Jobs or a Microsoft Bill Gates, right? Or a Power the Mind Greats with Tony Robbins. I can go down the list, right? All those people, right? Or Walt Disney, right? Disney World, right? All those people built the same system, but those people, like those individuals, made it to where their brand became powerful enough. People that didn't make it gave up along the way because they felt their brand wasn't getting anywhere, and they might have and more than likely quit, right, Tara? Yeah. Just a little bit too soon, and then they'll never know how great it could have been.
Yes. The analogy that always sticks in my mind is from Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, when he talks about the gentleman who bought the plot of land and he couldn't find gold and he sold it. And he was only just a few feet from finding the gold vein. The person who bought the land after him hired an expert strategist that could pinpoint him to where the gold was. And literally the person who had the land before was only 3 feet or so from finding the gold vein. So this is the strategy that sticks in my mind. The analogy is at any point in time, even if things get really hard, I imagine myself in a mine with a pickaxe, and I say, I'm only 3 feet from finding that gold. Just keep going, regardless of what I'm facing in life, right? And I think that's the power of it. Going back to what you were saying about the self-awareness aspect, nobody can be good at everything. So bring on a team to complement, right? Bring on a team to help you find the gold. And it's there. And I love your working with your brand as well, because it's so refreshing to work with a brand that's already an established entity where people already love it. They respect it. They have a real love for it. And you can feel it. And it makes it just the amplification of that brand so rewarding. So again, it's a mutual love and respect that we have toward each other. I love it. It's great.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I tell people all the time, if you feel you could do everything, then you're going to absolutely get nothing done for the full spectrum because you'll always end up missing something, or worse yet, doing it halfway. And that's just as bad, if not worse, because then, like I tell people all the time, the enemy of great is not bad, it's good, right? And see, that's, ladies and gentlemen, our brand was doing good, right? We were doing well with revenue, doing good with speaking. Our podcast was making an impact. It was hitting people, right? But it wasn't doing great. With Terra, it's on its way to great. And even with that, where we're at, it just takes time to put things in. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Please get this from this interview. Doesn't matter where you're at. As you put new things in and get more bold and more innovative, it just takes a little bit of time. So understand that. And so I know that. And so I'm like, hey, man, we're well on our way. It takes a few more months. That's fine, because I remember I've been doing this for 12 years incorrectly. It's another couple of months.
Wow.
Absolutely nothing.
Wow. I love that, Marcus. Everybody re-listen to this show a couple of times and take notes, would you? This is like so much gold in here. Marcus, what a pleasure it was to interview you today. Where are the best places people can find you online, and what can they hire you for today?
So they can find us on our website, www.marquesogden.com, MarquesOgden. If you're interested in keynote speaking, you can find us there. You can book a call or business coaching or corporate consulting. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, Tara has helped us create an amazing waitlist form. And ladies and gentlemen, it is a waitlist. We're booked now for interviews until the middle to end of October. And we have episodes in the can ready to be published all the way up to January of next year. We're very fortunate. People love being on our show. If you'd like to be a sponsor of our show, you can fill out the same waitlist form. Somebody will get back to you. We also have the app, right, Tara? The Marques Ogden app. So you go to your app store and type in Marques Ogden. It's a free app. Lots of great content, lots of great information, really simplistic. Or just shoot me an email, marcus@marquesogden.com. Again, we're very grateful, Tara, for our new partnership with Believe hosting platform. They're fantastic. We've already got about 10,000 downloads since Friday being on their platform, and we're just going to be climbing as we kind of get ourselves migrated over and more into our outreach, working with you, what we're doing, and our cross promotion. But yeah, you can find us on our website, podcast. You can send us an email. You can go on our waitlist form. And if you do the waitlist form, somebody will get back to you to have a conversation. And again, we look forward to connecting with you.
I love that. Everybody jump on that chance to be a guest on Marques Ogden's podcast. It's a top tier global show. And if you're on it, you're in company with celebrities, professional athletes, and high-level CEOs and executives who are visionaries looking to change the world just like you. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Grasp Confidence Podcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a review. We love hearing from people from all over the world, and I read each review personally. And trust me, I love every single one of them. We will catch you on the next episode. Take care.